The office parking lot was almost empty now, except for one light still burning near the far row of cars. It made a small circle on the pavement, not bright enough to change the evening, only enough to show where the lines were. The HR manager sat for a moment before leaving the car, one hand resting near the reusable grocery bag on the passenger's seat. It had slumped sideways during the family call, handles open, like it had been waiting quietly with everything else. The call was over. The city had not stopped. Cars still passed on the road beyond the building. A truck backed up somewhere behind the grocery store. A door closed in the distance. But for 1 second, the city softened. Not disappeared. Not became peaceful in any large way. Just softened enough for the body to notice. There had been one small kindness earlier. Someone holding the lobby door when both hands were full. Someone saying, almost without looking up, "I've got it." No speech after that. No audience for the effort. Only the bag, the parked car, the leftover office light, and the strange safety of a public place that asked for nothing more. For a few minutes, she did not reach for the door handle. There was no reason to stay. The workday had ended hours ago, though pieces of it still seemed to be sitting in the car with her. A few names from emails. A few careful sentences from meetings. A question she had answered in the hallway because someone needed an answer before she even had her coat on. Human resources was a strange place to carry other people's weather. People came in upset, worried, embarrassed, angry, trying not to cry, trying not to sound angry, trying to sound professional. They came in with forms, complaints, family emergencies, insurance questions, quiet fears about money, and the kind of exhaustion that did not fit inside a policy. And she had learned to sit with a steady face. Not cold. Not distant. Just steady enough for the room to remain a room. That kind of steadiness rarely gets thanked. Mostly, it disappears into the day. The reusable grocery bag had fallen against the console. Inside it were a receipt, an apple she had meant to eat at lunch, and the corner of a folded sweater she had brought in case the office got cold. It looked ordinary in the weak light from the dashboard. Tired fabric. Green stitching. A handle twisted from being carried too many times. Earlier, during the family call, she had held the phone close and looked through the windshield while someone at home told her about a small problem that needed an answer. Nothing terrible. Nothing that would sound heavy if repeated. Just another piece of life asking to be held for a while. She had answered softly. She had tried not to sound distracted. Across the lot, the one office light stayed on near the side entrance, shining on the painted curb and the glass door with its dark reflection. The building looked different after everyone left. Less official. Almost fragile. The kind of place where people had spent the day trying to be competent, then walked out carrying their own private bags. A car moved along the street beyond the parking lot. Its tires made a wet sound even though the pavement was mostly dry. Somewhere farther off, a bus lowered itself at a stop. The city kept doing what cities do, but for that second, the noise seemed to loosen its grip. She noticed it without naming it. A soft space opened between one sound and the next. Maybe that was why the small kindness from earlier returned to her. The person at the lobby door, seeing the grocery bag slipping from her wrist, the stack of folders against her chest, the phone still pressed between shoulder and ear. They had stepped back and held the door without making a thing of it. "I've got it," they had said. That was all. Not much, from the outside. Not enough to change the day. Not enough to fix the tiredness in her neck or the unfinished message waiting in her inbox. But something in the gesture had stayed. It had reached the part of her that was used to making space for everyone else. She sat there with it now. The bag did not look important. The parking lot did not look beautiful. The office light was too pale, and the windshield had a streak where the wipers had missed. Everything was slightly used, slightly left over, slightly waiting for tomorrow. Still, the moment held. Not like a lesson. More like a hand on a door before it closed. A little room made in public life. A small proof that people could still notice each other in passing, even when no one had the energy to say very much. She looked once more at the building, the empty spaces, the grocery bag beside her. Then she turned away without ceremony. By morning, the same parking lot had looked like a different place. At 8:45, just after the first rush, the cars had still been arriving in uneven waves. Doors opening. Coffee cups balanced against forearms. A badge swinging from someone's neck. A woman from accounting crossing fast with her lunch bag against her side, already looking at her phone. The HR manager had sat there then, too, just for a few seconds before going in. Not long enough to call it resting. Only long enough for the car to hold the last bit of quiet before the building began asking for her. The reusable grocery bag had been beside her in the passenger seat that morning, folded flatter than, with the sweater and a few errands tucked into it. It did not belong to the office exactly, and it did not belong to home exactly. It was one of those objects that traveled between versions of a person. Workday. Grocery run. Family call. Parking lot. Desk drawer. Back seat. It knew the in-between places. She had looked at it before stepping out, maybe because the handles had caught on the seat belt. Maybe because the city was still loud around her. Delivery trucks near the curb. A horn from the street. Someone laughing too sharply near the entrance because morning laughter sometimes has to be louder than the tiredness underneath it. There was nothing beautiful about it. Just a used bag, a gray morning, a lot half full, the office light above the side door still on because someone always forgot to turn it off. Or maybe because the timer had never worked right. Inside, there would be greetings, calendars, quiet emergencies, and people trying to sound less nervous than they were. There would be someone asking whether a form had gone through. Someone needing privacy. Someone making a joke in the break room that did not quite cover how worn out they felt. She had learned to notice all of it. Not because she was trying to be noble. Not because she had endless patience. Most days, she did not feel endless at all. She felt like a person with a packed inbox, a family thread still buzzing on her phone, and a body that sometimes wanted to stay seated for one more breath. But the job had trained her eyes. She saw the shoulders people carried into the office. She saw the way someone paused before knocking. She saw how quickly a person looked relieved when they realized they did not have to explain everything perfectly. That morning, before she opened her door, she had watched a man from maintenance stop to pick up a paper cup rolling across the painted line between two spaces. He did not make a show of it. He only bent down, caught it before it reached the storm drain, and dropped it in the trash can by the entrance. Then he kept walking. Small things like that did not announce themselves. They slipped through the day almost unseen. A held elevator. A quiet take your time. Someone moving their cart so another person could pass. Someone letting a tired driver merge without making the moment ugly. Public life can be hard on the heart. It can also, for 1 second, be kind. She had not thought that sentence then. She would not have wanted to make it into anything. She had only looked at the bag, lifted it by the handles, and stepped into the morning with the usual careful face. But later, after sunset, when the family call had ended and the city softened between one passing car and the next, the morning returned to her in small pieces. The half-lit office door. The paper cup caught before it disappeared. The grocery bag sliding from her wrist. The stranger's hand holding the lobby door open. None of it needed to become proof of anything. None of it needed to teach her how to live. It was only there, lightly gathered, like the small things that collect in a bag by the end of a long day. Receipts. An apple. A sweater. A little kindness that had not asked to be noticed. There was another kind of quiet that came after the first remembering. Not silence exactly. The car still had its small sounds. The seat settling under her. The soft tick of cooling metal somewhere near the dashboard. A faint buzz from the phone screen, face down now, after the family call had ended. The world had not become gentle. It had only stopped pressing for a moment. That was different. She sat with both hands resting in her lap, the reusable grocery bag leaning against the console, its handles making a loose shape in the dim light. It looked like something that had been used without being admired. Carried from store to car. From car to office. From office back to car. Folded badly. Opened again. Trusted to hold what did not quite belong anywhere else. There were days she understood that. Most of her work was not visible once it was done. A conversation ended, and the door closed. A form was corrected, and no one thought about it again. A worried employee walked in with a tight mouth and walked out breathing a little differently, and that change did not have a place on the calendar. It was not nothing. But it often left no trace. The office building stood behind her with its windows dark, except for the one light near the entrance. Earlier, that light had made the building look ready. Now it made the building look left behind. The same walls. The same doors. A different feeling on them. She had spent so many hours inside that place listening carefully. Listening without rushing. Listening while someone circled the same concern 3 times before saying what they really meant. Listening while a manager tried to sound fair. Listening while a new employee asked about benefits with a kind of embarrassment that did not need to be there. Listening while people brought their lives into a room where the carpet was dull and the printer always sounded tired. A room can hold more than it was built for. So can a person. She did not say that out loud. She would not have liked the sound of it spoken too clearly. It was only a feeling moving through her while the lot stayed still around the car. A feeling in the shoulders. In the jaw. In the small space behind the eyes that had stayed alert all day. The family call had touched that same place. A voice she loved asking about dinner, about a schedule change, about whether she had remembered something. A normal voice. A normal question. Nothing unkind. And still, it had landed on top of everything else, as if the day had one more small folder to place in her hands. She had answered. Of course she had. Then came the little pause after goodbye, when the screen went dark and no one needed her for the length of one breath. That was when the city softened. That was when the earlier kindness came back, not as a story, not as a reason to feel better, but as a small warmth near the edge of a long day. I've got it. 3 words. A door held open. The person had not known what those words were entering. They had not known about the family call that would come later, or the private tiredness behind the steady work face, or the grocery bag slipping from a wrist that had already carried too many things. They had simply noticed. Sometimes being noticed in a public place feels different from being known at home. It is smaller. Cleaner. It asks for less. No history comes with it. No explanation. No long conversation afterward. Only a second of room. She looked down at the bag again. The apple inside had rolled against the folded sweater. The receipt was bent at the edge. Such plain evidence of a day. Buying things. Carrying things. Answering things. Keeping things moving. Nothing was solved by that kindness. But something had been softened around the edges. For a moment, she did not have to make the day meaningful. She did not have to turn the door, the bag, the light, or the stranger's hand into a lesson she could repeat. The feeling was allowed to stay small. Small was enough. Outside, another car passed the lot without turning in. Its headlights moved across the windshield and then slid away. She let them go. After the headlights passed, the windshield held the dark again. Not full dark. The office light was still there, pale and stubborn, touching the edge of the sidewalk, the low shrubs by the entrance, the sign with the company name that looked less certain after hours. A few insects moved around the light in small, uneven circles. The kind of motion that made no announcement. She watched it for a while. The lot had a different honesty when no one was crossing it. In the morning, it had been full of arrival. People stepping out of cars while finishing calls, checking bags, looking for badges, taking one last sip of coffee before becoming useful. After sunset, the same lines on the pavement looked almost tender. Empty spaces. Oil marks. A cart left too far from the grocery store next door. A place built only for passing through, somehow holding still. She had spent so much of her life in places like that. Parking lots. Hallways. Lobbies. Break rooms. Waiting areas with magazines no one read. Places that were not meant to be remembered, but somehow kept pieces of people anyway. The reusable grocery bag made a soft sound when she shifted her knee against it. The handles slid and settled. She reached over, not to open it, only to straighten it a little. The fabric was cool from the car. Its side had a faint crease where it had been folded too long. There was a small stain near the bottom. She remembered buying it without much thought, because one of the old paper bags had torn in a checkout line months ago. Apples rolling. A carton tipping. Someone behind her stepping forward before she could feel embarrassed all the way through. Another small public rescue. Not dramatic enough to tell anyone. Still there. Her hand stayed on the bag for one extra second. It was strange how an object could gather these small moments without trying. Store aisles. Office lunches. A sweater against too much air conditioning. A receipt for things needed at home. A door held open by someone who did not need to hold it. All day, she had been careful with other people's stories. She had kept her voice even when someone's fear came out sharp. She had remembered names. She had printed an extra copy because the first one had disappeared into someone's purse. She had explained something twice, and then a third time, because panic makes instructions slide off the mind. No one had been cruel. That almost made the tiredness harder to explain. It was simply the weight of being available. The steady turning toward people. The way a face can become a kind of front desk, even when there is a whole private life behind it. She leaned back against the seat. For a second, she let her eyes close. Behind her eyelids, the day did not replay in order. It came in pieces. The side entrance in the morning. The maintenance worker bending for the paper cup. The family voice on the phone. The stranger's hand on the lobby door. The grocery bag slipping, then lifting. The city lowering itself just enough for one breath to be heard. None of it asked to be arranged. That felt merciful. So much of her work depended on arranging things. Dates, forms, conversations, complaints, time off, policies, the right words in the right order so something could move forward without making a bigger mess. Even at home, the family call had carried its own little order. Who needed what? When something had to be done. What she had remembered. What she had almost forgotten. Here, in the car, the moment did not need that from her. It did not need to be useful. It did not need to become a lesson about kindness, or patience, or how people survive long days. The door had been held. The bag had been caught against her side. The light had stayed on. The city had softened. That was all. And maybe because it was all, it could be received without effort. She opened her eyes. The parking lot remained plain. A strip of sidewalk. A dark office window. The reusable bag beside her, carrying what little the day had left inside it. For once, she did not add anything. She only looked. The longer she sat there, the less the parking lot felt like a place outside the day. It began to feel like the day itself, spread out and quiet. The empty spaces were like pauses between conversations. The painted lines were like all the boundaries people tried to keep. The office door was closed now, and still, she could almost hear the soft shuffle of shoes in the hallway, the printer starting and stopping, the microwave in the break room, the careful voices behind half-open doors. Nothing dramatic had happened. That was part of the tiredness. A person could be worn down by ordinary things that never became a story. A misunderstanding corrected before lunch. A policy explained with patience. A worried employee reassured without making them feel small. A manager given language that would not make a hard conversation worse. A family call taken in the car because there had been no room for it anywhere else. All of it small enough to disappear. All of it real. She looked again at the reusable grocery bag, and for a moment it seemed to belong less to errands than to all the in-between labor of being a person. The things carried because they had to be carried. The things remembered because someone needed them remembered. The things placed in the passenger seat because there was no better place. The bag had no opinion about any of it. It only held what was put inside. There was comfort in that plainness. The fabric did not ask her to name the day. It did not ask whether she had handled everything well. It did not ask if she had sounded patient enough on the phone, or if she had missed something in an email, or if someone had left her office feeling better or only less alone. It just rested there. A reusable bag, slightly slumped. The city outside kept thinning. Fewer cars now. More space between them. Somewhere nearby, a traffic signal changed for almost no one. Red on the pavement. Then green. Then nothing but the low sound of the road gathering itself and letting go. She had always liked that small hour after the public rush. Not because it was peaceful exactly. It still carried exhaust, streetlights, tired drivers, someone's music passing too loudly with the windows down. But the pressure changed. The city stopped trying to be one thing. It became scattered again. Human again. A few people going home. A few people going to another shift. A few people sitting in parked cars, not ready for the next door. Maybe someone else was doing that now, sitting under another light, with another bag, another call just ended, another face they had held together all day. She did not need to know. The thought passed softly, without becoming a speech. Earlier, when the stranger had held the door, there had been no deep exchange. No special look. No promise that people were good. Just the door opening at the right second, just the bag not slipping to the floor, just one person noticing the awkwardness of another person's hands. That was what stayed with her. Not the kindness as an idea. The timing of it. The way help sometimes arrives before embarrassment has time to harden. The way a public gesture can be small enough not to make anyone feel exposed. The way being helped without being studied can let a person keep moving, with a little less tightness in the chest. She breathed out, slowly. The car windows had begun to fog faintly near the lower edge. A small blur gathered where the glass met the dashboard. She lifted one finger and cleared a short line through it, then stopped. The mark did not need to be completed. It was only a little space to see through. Beyond it, the office light still held its pale circle. For once, she let the kindness remain unfinished. She did not owe it a conclusion. She did not need to pass it along immediately, or turn it into a better version of herself, or make it proof that the day had been worth the ache. It had simply happened. And she was grateful. Quietly, almost privately. With no one there to receive it, and no one there to measure it. The bag leaned beside her. The city softened again, just barely. She stayed until the breath passed. At some point, the lot became quiet enough that she could hear her own sleeve move against the seat. That was the hour when places stopped performing their purpose. The office was no longer a workplace, not fully. The parking lot was no longer a passage, not fully. Even the car felt less like transportation and more like a small room with glass walls, holding one tired person between what had already happened and what still waited at home. She did not feel sad exactly. Only used. Not in a bitter way. More like a chair after a long meeting, a hallway after everyone has walked through, a light left on because someone forgot the last switch. There was a kind of safety in admitting that word to herself without making it sharp. Used. The day had used her attention. Her calm voice. Her memory for details. Her ability to stay kind when the room was uncomfortable. Home had used her, too, though not unkindly. The voice on the family call belonged to people she loved. Their needs were real. Their questions mattered. Still, love could arrive as one more thing to hold when the hands were already full. She looked at the reusable grocery bag. Its handles had fallen open again. There was something almost tender about the way it did not stand upright anymore. It leaned because leaning was what the day had left it able to do. The apple inside had a small bruise near the stem. The receipt had folded over on itself. The sweater looked softer in the dark than it had in the morning. Nothing in the bag was special. That made it easier to stay with. A car turned into the far end of the lot, slowed as if the driver had changed their mind, then circled back out toward the street. The headlights swept over the painted lines and crossed the front of her car in a pale band. For a moment, everything became visible. The dashboard dust. The edge of her badge on the console. The reusable bag. Her own hand resting open against her knee. Then the light moved on. The dark returned, but not harshly. She thought of the person at the lobby door again, and this time she did not even hear the words clearly. Only the movement. The slight step back. The door held. The way her bag had stopped slipping. The way her body had been spared one small awkwardness in a day full of careful managing. It was strange, the things that reached a person. Not the big praise, because there had not been any. Not a long thank you. Not a moment where someone saw everything. Just a stranger or coworker, half distracted, making the next second easier. That was enough to enter the evening. That was enough to sit beside her without asking to become large. She breathed in. The air inside the car had warmed from her staying there. Outside, the pavement held the last of the day. Somewhere beyond the building, traffic moved in a lower rhythm, spaced farther apart now, like the city itself had loosened its shoulders. She did not want to be witnessed. That surprised her a little. All day, some part of her had probably wanted someone to notice the effort. To see the care beneath the careful voice. To know that steadiness had a cost, even when it was offered willingly. But now, in the dim car, she felt the mercy of having no audience. No one needed her gratitude to sound beautiful. No one needed her to explain why a held door had mattered. No one needed the moment to become useful. She could simply let it be what it had been, a small kindness in public life, arriving beside a reusable grocery bag, under one office light, near the tired edge of a commute. The room around her was not really a room. It was a parking lot, a car, a little square of evening. Still, it felt used and safe. The day had passed through it. So had many people. So had she. After a while, she reached for the bag and set it upright. Not to begin anything. Only because it was there. When she finally opened the car door, the air outside felt cooler than she expected. The parking lot did not change for her. It stayed plain and half-lit, with the office window dark behind her and the one light still holding its small circle near the entrance. The city moved beyond it, not loudly now, but steadily, as if it knew how to keep going without being asked. She lifted the reusable grocery bag from the passenger seat. It was lighter than it had seemed. The handle settled into her hand, and for a moment she stood beside the car without closing the door. She looked once toward the building, then toward the street, then down at the bag resting against her leg. Nothing in the scene asked to be remembered. That was why it could stay. A door held open. A voice saying, "I've got it." A family call ending softly. The city loosening for 1 second beside the commute. She closed the car door with care. Not quietly enough to disappear. Just quietly enough for the sound not to break the feeling. Then she began walking toward the small stretch of sidewalk that led out of the lot. There was no lesson waiting for her there. No better version of the day. Only the bag in her hand, the light behind her, and the simple grace of having been helped once, briefly, in public. It was enough to carry. Not far. Just home.